Hello everybody, welcome back to another stream. I hope you're all doing fantastic. As always, this one's a very, very exciting one, of course. In front of us, you can see the all-new A220, which will be making its way into infinite flight very, very soon. But of course, I would like to say very quickly off the bat that this is a beta preview, and it's subject to change, of course. So this is a beta preview, and you cannot update. So for those who are wondering, where is it? It's not out yet. So please, patience is key. Here with me today is Laura and Cam, and they'll be able to answer lots and lots of your questions today as well. Let's not drown them in questions, but they're here today as well. 600 of you watching right now, which is absolutely awesome. This is a highly anticipated update, and I'm so excited to be able to fly this aircraft over to Abu Dhabi today. We're looking at a flight time of around, I would say, an hour and 45. Maybe a little bit less than that. We'll cruise at flight level 350 at Mach 0.78. So it's about 1,000 nautical miles to cover in this A220 in the Airbus house colours. Laura, Cam, how are you? What's up? Welcome.
Hey, Dan. How's it going?
Hey.
Doing good.
This is an exciting one. Right off the bat, would you like to... There's some stuff going on behind the scenes, and I think it'd be great for you to, maybe Cam, to explain what's going on with Apple at the moment, just to give people some ease whilst I set the aircraft up right off the bat.
Yeah, we're working, like many of the community have guessed, we're hoping to work towards a release next week at some point, just before the holidays, and so everyone can get a chance to try the A220 out, with the ATC schedule having a lot of A220 airports. Obviously, this release date is subject to change on a lot of factors. Mainly, at this point, it would be either Apple or Google, should they choose to push it back. We're working to get out to you as quickly as we can, because as you can probably see, the aircraft's basically almost done. Got a few more things to touch up, but it's pretty much ready to go.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Well, as mentioned, this is the perfect opportunity. On previous streams, I know a lot of you always have so many, like absolutely so many development-related questions. But of course, I'm a streamer. I'm community engagement. I have no idea when it comes to development things. So now is the perfect opportunity during this flight. So, of course, fire your questions away for Laura and Cam. But as you can see, we've just booted up the aircraft. We're waiting for the displays to fully boot up here. We're fully ready to go, more or less. The flight plan's already complete, and weight and balance is always set as normal, so we can have a very quick, prompt departure here from Jeddah. So yeah, let's have some fun. The screens are still aligning right now. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see that as we go. But who's excited? Who's excited for the A220? Because I sure am. It's great. It's going to be super fun when you can all get your hands on this aircraft. Laura, maybe right off the bat, would you like to, before we get airborne, talk about how you feel about this aircraft, maybe what it was like during development?
Yeah, it was a fun plane to work on. I got it. So the schedule was pretty tight for that one. We wanted to get it out before the end of the year, so we had to, reduce some of the timings and make sure that it was ready. So I got it about 2-3 months ago to start flying it, and then the first thing I did was working on the instruments. So I did all the screens and all the details on the screens, and in terms of the flight model, I based it off of the 319 since it's very similar in size and performance, and I made modifications to that model. And usually it takes about a couple of months of back and forth between the beta testers, the artists, and me in the middle to kind of glue it all together to fully finish an airplane like this. Yeah, so it's been a fun airplane to design, and it's really fun to fly.
Definitely. Not to mention the beta testers as well that find every little bug just before the community does. Keep us busy. You wake up one morning, we see the issue list, it's like, oh, yep, going back to bed. I'm not going to do this today.
Yeah.
Just demonstrating some of the animations that comes with the A220, like the tables in the cockpit, and some of the doors, which is super cool.
And
imagine if Boeing would have ended up with this.
There's one thing I'd like to mention. There's been some comments about the MFD, so the two center screens, which are not, they should be mirrored basically, sort of like the compass should be closer to the PFD on each side, and the reason why that is currently like that is for two reasons. One is memory issues, because we render all those screens into an off-screen texture, and we need to reserve the space for each of those screens. So if we render the MFD, like in that case, we render it one time, and it uses one space in the big texture, and we can render it twice. But if we have different screens for those two displays, and we need to reserve 2 times the space for not much difference, or we can there's some tricks to do it a different way, but we have to split the screen, the actual display in two, and it doesn't look that great. So that's why, for memory and performance reasons, it's separated.
It's always one of these balances between performance and looks, and this is one of the things of running on a mobile device where it's a small sacrifice that we think, but it doesn't hinder your experience too much.
And we did try it. We did try to have the two screens show different different placement of those items. But then we soon got reports of mostly performance issues on older devices because we have to render those screens 2 times. And it's a lot of processing, lots of lines to draw, math to do, all the computations for all the angles and all that. Because all those screens are rendered from scratch for every frame. So it's a lot of math and computations to do every frame, especially for older devices.
Yeah, for reference, if you're not aware, we basically draw every single line, every single bit of text, every single color. We draw that 30 or 60 times a second on your screen. So this needs to be very fast. Otherwise, this is where you start getting performance issues. And we spend most of our time debugging down to millisecond and microsecond level, trying to shave off as much as we can to make this as fast as possible.
Yep.
Just a quick update for everybody watching if you didn't just see what I was doing there. I've requested pushback to 16 center, and then we should be able to get going. I'm not too sure how long that will take. Hopefully we're not on the ground for too long. The queue isn't very long at the moment anyway. There's just an aircraft behind me, so I'm just waiting for them to put... Something Wong is behind us here. As per usual, he always joins on these streams, so... but after that, we should be good to go, so yeah. Super fun stuff. Super fun stuff. Community is absolutely going to blow up today. Like, there's going to be people taking screen recordings, videos, screenshots, all over the place.
Yeah, it's a nice plane.
Pushback approved.
And the cabin also is pretty cool to have those. Because the plane is smaller, we had a little more budget for polygons this time around, so we added the full cabin. And there's also a lot of optimizations we've done now with the when we started working on the buildings, we had to optimize a lot of the code to render objects, and now it's all unified. The way we render objects for the airport and the planes is the same code. So there's lots of stuff that we can do more efficiently now. So that's why we can have a little more detail, especially for those planes that are not too physically big.
It's great, especially all these app changelogs that you see on the App Store that say bug fixes and performance improvements. It may not seem like much, but this is a lot of what we've been doing for the past few years. People have been asking as well about Project Metal. We've explained this a couple of times, but the best way of visualizing it, Project Metal isn't something that you'll see an immediate change. It's not going to be like a brand new graphics and a massively improved simulator. It's more of the rendering technology we use is being overhauled to allow for that. So these changes that Laura just described, this is in a way, she was working with Philippe. They were both digging a tunnel, and they're trying to meet in the middle of these two techniques. So trying to make it work with the new rendering engine, and at the same time improving the performance for the current one. So it's exciting.
I'm
definitely in the... Yeah, so go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead, Laura.
No, I was just going to say, a lot of the performance improvements were, I think I already mentioned in the past stream, but around this time last year, actually, was when the scenery editor that we mentioned last time was open to a wider public in a beta test team. And the first airport that was built was by Misha, and he continued what I was starting to work on SFO. And there were so many objects that the frame rate was just too low. And that's when we went, Philippe, Kevin and I, we went into this startup mode of optimizing the whole rendering architecture to make sure that we can render all these objects even on lower performance devices. And the way we did that, we had a set of 3 cameras that were set around San Francisco at fixed positions, so we can have a great frame of reference to reproduce performance issues. So we were looking at, okay, this view, camera 3, let's say we have some pavements, some objects, and some buildings. We get this type of performance, and we were optimizing for those specific types of cameras, and we could verify if the optimizations had an impact. So that was pretty cool, and it took a long time to do it. It took 3-4 months to do it until we finally shipped the buildings.
Buildings were just another big leap, like a massive thing, and a bit like global. I think buildings was like the second biggest update in my honest opinion. Like at the time, I wasn't. Well, no, I was actually. I was here at Infinite Flight, wasn't I? I'd recently joined the team at that point for 21.1. But buildings, from like a sort of outsider's perspective as well, was just next level. It was one of those things that was needed, and now it's here, and it's going so great.
I remember the first time I sent you a beta build, Dan, you were overjoyed.
yeah.
I was just like, I just fixed a crash for you. I was like, no, this is amazing. This is the best day ever.
Yeah. No, I remember the first build that you sent to me was just it was something that wasn't like building related, and I thought that buildings were going to be included, but they wasn't, and I got really, really excited, and then they weren't, and then about a month or so later, I got the build, and I was like, yes. It was great. It was great. 16 center.
Ready to taxi to
Yeah, no, they were funny times. They were funny times, and then the scenery editor as well was another super hype thing.
Yeah. It's one of those small things. Nora can talk more about that.
There's a question, Cameron, for you in the chat. Someone's asking, what do you do at Infinite Flight?
What don't I do, or what do I do? I don't even know anymore.
Exactly, everything.
My official title is I'm a full stack developer. I run our servers and all of our cloud infrastructure. I manage our releases. I do a lot of features in the app. I do a lot of the web stuff. Basically, we're a lot of people on the team, and we wear a lot of hats. So we have a lot of different specialities. I try and focus on all of the server stuff and all of the some of the UI stuff with Laura, some of the airport stuff. Yeah, there's not really a specific thing we do. Alright, you Laura, what is it you work on these days?
These days it's the scenery editor, the planes, and other things that I can't talk about just yet.
Ooh.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Laura, this is where you need your sound effects.
Yeah, I just don't remember which one.
Here we go.
Don't get us copyright striked.
How does that?
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
Oh, okay, never mind. It didn't work.
I've actually got a question
Yeah,
for all of it, for you two here. What's your favourite thing about the A220? Cam, I'm not too sure if you've flown it lots and lots, but I'm sure Laura has. What's your favourite thing about it?
I would say it's the cockpit.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty cool. The screens are nice. Yeah, I think the cockpit is my favorite thing. The plane itself is beautiful, but I've always felt like the smaller versions of the planes is always the cutest one. So I think a 100, like a 220-100 would have been my preference, but there's not as many operators, so it makes sense to have the 300. Yeah. That would be the. Yes.
I think it's mine too. I like, you make a good point, Dan. I don't think I've done a full flight in the A220. Normally the way I work is I just do a few patterns around an airport and crash it because testing. But I mean, I love the cockpit, especially going in there at night, because it's got those massive screens. They illuminate everything. It's a lot nicer than some of the other planes we've had in the past about those big screens, like the old 757, for example, that had the static image. This is just such a leap forward.
It is a very nice cockpit. It's very, very neat. And it's modern, isn't it? It's one of the newer cockpits out there.
And that's why Laura and I like it, because, I mean, I can say for Laura, definitely, she likes anything with a screen on it, so...
That's true.
Just want to reach out and touch it now.
Yeah. No, it was an interesting airplane to build. A lot of the display was pretty much new. I couldn't really use much of what we had done for the Boeing and the Airbus. It was kind of a blend of both, actually. Some of the stuff they built was very similar to the Airbus, and other things were just from the Boeing kind of design patterns. Yeah.
Best way to design, you steal a bit of everything.
Yeah, mix everything up.
Those engines are also pretty cool looking, pretty massive.
I love the green ring around the inside of the engine.
I saw someone ask if it's similar in any way to the ERJs. Not the ones we have in the app, but in terms of like size and flying performance. I don't know about the actual physics, Laura. Would you say it's similar to the E-Jets, or?
I didn't base it off of the E-Jets. I based it off the 319. But it's just like it doesn't mean that it flies like the 319. It's just instead of starting from scratch, I go from some plane that's similar, and then adjust the weights to kind of the weights, the flaps, the lift curves, all the kind of drag performance, like basically adjust anything so I find some data to tune the aircraft, and then I adjust things on the aircraft to match the data from the real world. So it's not, if you're flying with the 319 figures, it's not going to match that plane. It's going to match, the 220.
That's really cool.
There we go.
A lot of people asking about the sounds as you take off, Dan. So sounds, we want the sounds as well for the A220. We've got them. They're in the works. They're being ordered. So hopefully we should have them at some point next year. There's just not a time frame on it because we're waiting for it. And we've spoken a bit about this on our timeline. So if you go to our website, we share a lot of development snippets on there.
I'm in full concentration mode right now.
I did see a comment, someone saying that, Dan, you sound like a professional pilot, so I would think that.
The thing to know with this aircraft is it doesn't require a lot of power to take off. I was surprised by some of the figures when we were looking at the flight manuals that at full power, at full max gross weight, it can actually take off with 87.5% N1, which doesn't seem a lot, but it climbs at 15 degrees pitch up attitude at 87.1 at 150 knots, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. I think these engines are pretty powerful.
Designed for airports like London City.
Yeah, exactly. It feels so good to fly. Taking off with a good amount of trim and the correct flaps is just so it just feels smooth. That's like the easiest way I can explain it. It's a very, very sort of smooth process. It sort of almost does it by itself if you do it properly. And it holds its climb very, very well. It's the same with landing as well. Landing is, I'll try and demonstrate, quote unquote, as everybody says, a butter today in this aircraft. But
Dan, you need to come to Laura's office after the stream.
Laura, what do you say? You say kiss the landing, don't you?
What?
You say kiss the landing?
Yeah. I think the French say a kiss landing. Yeah. No, it's not butter.
How do you say it in French?
I think they say like this. Kiss
How
landing.
does it sound? What's the word?
A kiss landing.
Just kiss landing?
They say it in
Oh.
a kiss landing, maybe.
Of course.
There we go.
It's not,
That's what we wanted.
I don't think there's... I've been out of here for too long, but I don't think there's an actual French term, or I don't know it, for a kiss landing.
There's a lot of things like that in aviation. I've noticed it, you probably noticed it as well, Laura, when we've been doing the translations, because we're offering infinite flight in other languages now as well. There are just, I'm a native Spanish speaker, I've spoken it my whole life, but I've learned technical words about aviation that I never knew existed, just through research.
Yeah, because and I think even, at least for me, my French is not as good as when I left, and so I did the French translation through like a translation Google thing, and I was adjusting it as I went, but there's some of the stuff that I just didn't know how to say, and apparently some person corrected my French on there, so I don't think I'm qualified to do the translations, at least for the French one.
I had the same done to me. Shout out to Infinite Flight Mallorca for correcting my Spanish.
Right now it's saying 3 hours and 33. I don't quite think it's going to be that. Hopefully not.
What?
It shouldn't be. Flying,
yet, Dan.
Flying east, you
serving
have tailwind.
Are you serving food in the flight?
You can be the cabin crew on this flight, so you pick what to serve. I can see Aviation X asking many times now if there's going to be a giveaway. Yes, there'll be 3 giveaways today. We'll give away 3 month-long subs to 3 lucky individuals. Laura will do one, Cam will do one, and I'll do one myself at some point. We'll spread them out throughout the stream. won't do them all at one point because that ruins the fun. Okay, right, speeding up.
Imagine what you can do with a month of pro. Fly the A220.
Fly the A220, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Not yet, but soon.
Someone's asking, Calculus Guru is asking, does Infinite Flight have a GUI? Are they talking, like, if you can... I'm not sure if they're talking about the interface of the sim, but I don't think we've ever talked about how we design the UI itself, the user interface. It's a mix of runtime live coding. So for the HUD, for example, we draw most of the controls manually. So like we do for the cockpit displays. So we draw a rectangle, we draw lines, we draw the text and all that. Each line is drawn every frame. And for the buttons, usually in the UI, we design them in XAML, which is a Microsoft UI definition language, where you can define grids and buttons. It's similar to, I think, it would be similar to HTML, I suppose.
Yeah, it's the same kind
yeah.
of format. It's like HTML as well.
Yeah.
XML.
But it has a sense of like formatting in it. So maybe like with some CSS blended into it. So we can define a button inside a grid with a margin, and we parse this file to render it in Infinite Flight. So it's our own UI toolkit, and it was a decision we made early on. We could have used, it was back in the days where we were on Windows Phone, and Microsoft brought a system for us to use their native UI on top of a 3D view. But we pushed against that because we wanted to make sure that we supported other platforms. So that's why we're using our own toolkit.
And in terms of the actual design of how we design it, well, we have a few elements already defined that we just use and base it off of. Normally, Laura or I will do like an initial pass when we add a new feature, share it with the team, and then certain people in the team will have feedback. And we work with that frequently. More recently as well, we use Sketch as well, which is a design tool on the Mac that Jason normally prepares workflows that we can test out with people as well to make sure that we get a good sense of what the UI will look like before we sink the time into actually building it, because that would be frustrating if we spent a lot of time building a UI, then it turns out that everyone on the team hates it. That's an indication that everyone else is going to hate it.
It's true.
I'm just going to pretend that I know exactly what you're talking about.
Pretty things on the screen.
Dev stuff goes in one ear and out the other ear for me.
That's okay.
I would never be able to do what you guys do, ever. No chance. I don't have the brains for that.
Of course you would. It's not magical. It's just spending time doing it.
The skill.
And having a brain that likes it too.
Yeah.
Probably help.
The best thing I've ever done. I mean, when I first got my Mac, I used Xcode. Is it Xcode? I believe it is.
Yeah.
Xcode. Yeah. To make the most simple app ever, and it just had a square on the screen, like a folder you could click on. And I just downloaded it on my phone when you plug it in and like import it onto your phone. And that's the best I could ever get. Because I'm not a developer.
That's how you start. That's how I started, Dan. I literally started with Xcode. I think I was like 12 years old or something, 11 years old, and I was playing around with it, and I eventually wanted to learn a bit more, and it's having the brain for it and wanting to do it. And eventually skip a few years, and I kind of don't know what I'm doing now still, but it works. Infinite Flight somehow works.
Well, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job, and it's not broken, so...
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that people mostly don't know now if the servers break, because we have... it's well defined now that there is redundancy, so...
Yeah.
The other day, for example, there was a fairly big server issue going on in the background, but no one noticed.
It's quite cool.
And for me, this is how I started coding. With a calculator like this, a Casio calculator in BASIC. You could write some small programs on it, and I had a book that I think my brother bought, and there was some games and programs, and there was no way to copy it directly onto the calculator, so you had to type it manually, and you make mistakes every like 50, times you type something. But yeah, that was pretty brutal. It was fun.
Yeah. I've got something to mention. Laura, infinite runway.
Oh.
This is something you was going to bring up. So
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah, we tweeted something today about it's a screenshot of the A220. I think it's a PFD code. It's just
It is.
Yeah, the first few lines of definitions that show some of the states and the handles. And we have what's called a namespace. That's fds.infinite runway. And the reason why it's called Infinite Runway is because, well, FDS is for Flying Development Studio, which was the former name of the company. And Infinite Runway is the name from before the when we actually shipped the app. It switched, but it was Infinite Runway. And the reason why we changed the name is we were at a lunch. I think it must have been in 2010 or 11, just before we shipped, and it was during GDC, the Game Developer Conference in San Francisco, and we're having lunch with a friend of ours who was in this business, and he said, "You should change your name because Infinite Runway, for me, a runway is, where this place where the modeling for clothes walk on, and not like most people don't know runway from. I mean, maybe he was wrong. I don't know, because he should have known. And he's not even into fashion too, so was weird. But then we figured like we should have flight in the name. That's what he said. Like, you should have flight inside the name. But we figured like let's replace runway by flight, and that's why the name Infinite Flight is now what the company is.
It's a good choice.
It was a good choice.
Yeah.
But we've not changed all the code because that would be problematic, to say the least. That's like, yeah, that would break a lot of things.
What would it do? Like, what would it actually do?
So there's ways now, like we can replace. Back in the day, probably today even in C++, if you rename something, you have to find all the places where you use that Infinite Runway namespace, and change it. Now, it's easier to do it in Visual Studio now and in C# because it's going to find all the places where it's actually used, not where it's typed, but where it's actually used in the code. The problem is there's a process called serialization, which is basically when you write data from the app onto a file or send it over the network. Sometimes the name of a class, for example, in that screenshot, it's A220 PFD. So it would be the full name would be fds.infiniterunway.a220 PFD. And if the serialization code writes this whole type name inside a file, and we change it when it's trying to read it back, it's going to say, oh, let me find the type fds.infiniterunway.na, and it doesn't exist anymore, so it would fail. Okay. So it's not guaranteed that it would be a problem, but it's just not worth the effort and the potential trouble to break this now.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
And it's a change that nobody would notice. Like, this is compiled into Infinite Flight that you see. The name of the app is Infinite Flight. This would just be for us, and it's not affected us. I don't even think about this, to be honest.
Yeah, and there's a lot of apps or software that we've used over the years that actually do have some code names like this. I know Microsoft used a lot of code names that stuck around in their code, and yeah, there's quite a few like this. And I forgot. I think
Facebook
there was
as well was called like Katana on Android. Every time I remember if I would look at the APK or something, it would be called that, or say Katana has stopped back in the day.
Right. Yeah. And I think there was this physics engine also that I used at some point. That was I think it was Novodex, and they were acquired by, I forgot which company, but the namespaces stayed as Novodex, or the name classes were NX or NDX, or I forgot what it was, because they didn't want to change it.
There's a cool question for you there, Laura. It's from Ethan, who's one of our airport editors, asking, like, when you're originally developing Infinite Runway, did you have a user base aware and enthusiastic for its release, or did it progressively grow after release?
There was not a lot of people that were interested. So before Infinite Runway, it was called Flight Simulator Project, and that was just a thing that I was doing on my own. And then when Philippe came on board, the Infinite Runway itself never actually shipped. Flight Sim Project actually did ship, and there's probably binaries online that you can find. And this had a few people use it. I know the folks at Microsoft used it. They tried it because I got into contact with a few of them. And this is how also I interviewed for Microsoft to work on Microsoft Flight back in the day.
Gasp.
Yeah, they didn't want me. And yeah, so there was not a lot of people using it, honestly. From the Infinite Runway never actually shipped. We didn't have anyone. It shipped as Infinite Flight on Windows Phone, and Windows Phone was not really a big hit. So it really took off when the iOS version came out.
Very cool. Sammy was asking who is the founder of Infinite Flight. Well, there's two co-founders and one of them's here.
Yeah, two co-founders. Philippe is the other one, and it was a great match. We were in the same school here. He was actually a year ahead of me, and then he moved to California. And then the year after, I begged him to get me to interview with the company that he was working at, NVIDIA. So this is how I joined, and we got to know each other a little more. And I was working on this flight sim project on my own, and I told him at some point, like, hey, do you want to work on this with me? Because there's lots of stuff that I like to do, but I think you like the graphics rendering and the planetary stuff more than I do. And that way it's a good match. And it's perfect. I think we're a great match, and it kind of shows after 10 years that we haven't, torn each other apart. We have this great relationship where he's a little more organized than me. I'm a little more crazy going into different directions. So it's a great, we kind of have this great relationship that allows us to ship a project like this.
Wasn't there something
Definitely.
like that when it comes to... Sorry, Cam. Go on.
No, go ahead, Dan.
Wasn't there something between you and Philippe when you discussed buildings, like, back in the day? And wasn't Philippe like, I don't know, and you were like, yeah, let's do it, and you just wanted to do it anyway? I'm sure I heard that somewhere.
Dan, this is with everything at Infinite Flight.
It happens a lot where he's just like... He gives up. He's like, okay, fine, whatever. Do the thing.
It's normally Laura goes off and makes a prototype of it somehow, and then it's a case of just channeling that energy.
Yeah, because it's I think it's a lot of the same thing for other people, I suppose. When you really want to work on something, if someone forces you to work on something else, I see it's kind of like a wave of productivity on a specific subject. And sometimes I really, like, my brain for some reason wants to work on something. So I choose not to fight this and just work on it as much as I can until I burn out on that subject. And that way it's super efficient because I'm going with the flow. And if something is breaking that flow, or, I have to work on something else, then, I not as efficient as I could be on that other thing. But then when it comes time to go back to the first project, maybe the momentum is gone, and I want to work on something else. Kind of childish, but this is how my brain works, at least.
That's how we get things done. Like earlier, we were asking what we do exactly. We do a little bit of everything, and it's a good way as well to give inspiration for other ideas, because you do sometimes come back and you have a fresh view on it, and you're like, no, this is stupid, or this could be done better, for example.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of this kind of way of working is inspired from the Google 20%. Even like some of the hackathons that some companies like ForeFlight do. I think it comes from the fact that if a person has an idea and they want to do it, they're more likely to do it efficiently, quickly, than if the first action was let's think about it or being forced to do it. It's kind of weird, but I think it works well. And live was developed that way. I kind of went off on my own and told Philippe, like, I got an idea, just trust me on that one. And I went on my own. I did live, and then we had to optimize because it was too slow, and I was displaying too many planes and all that. And the buildings were kind of the same. I kind of went off on my own and said, okay, I wanted to make the buildings, and Philippe was like, we can't make buildings without an editor. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. So I went on and worked on the buildings. Yeah.
And every morning you get up and you see Laura's made a ton of progress, or like something she discussed yesterday, it's suddenly built all of a sudden, like in a rough format, but it's there. It's great.
Laura,
and now I'm working on that other thing, a new thing like this.
Did you want to touch on the scenery editor at all? It's been a while since I think you've talked about the scenery editor. Sorry, is that something you wanted to talk about or save?
I mean, we kind of briefly covered it, but the idea is that you can load. So we didn't want to have. Ideally, it would be great if we could have airports auto-generated by some system, but it's complicated to build a system like that because there's lots of constraints, and especially around an airport, it's really messy. There's little carts everywhere, and the placement of gates, pretty different. The gateways and the bridges, it's really hard to procedurally do. So we figured an editor is the best way to do that.
You need a lot of data to do it procedurally because there's like different size airports, there's different regional constraints. So for example, the airports in North America are not the same as the airports in Southeast Asia. And you can do this, but it won't look as good, and that's where you will get the actual blocky buildings and everything will look very generic.
Right. So the way we decided to go, so there was a lot of discussion with Philippe on the design of this system because it impacts a lot of data in the sim, and a wrong decision made initially could impact a lot of designs later on in the development process. So we started working on a way to quickly import buildings into the sim so that the work of the editors would be as streamlined as possible. And the way we found is we import data from OpenStreetMap. So if you load the airport, by default, we just load the 2D, the pavements and the runway and the taxiway lines. And then you can press a button. It downloads the OpenStreetMap data and extrudes some buildings based on the footprint. So we look for terminals, hangars, generic buildings, and assign a default texture that kind of matches what it should be, and set the name and all that. And if the height is available, so we use the height. And then the editors can start modifying those buildings and adding, faces, adding more complications to the facades, the top of the buildings, around the buildings as well. And then the next step is to add the gates and the model. So you have ways to select the types of model that you want from a list and place them on the airport, property, and then there's a whole lot of time that was spent making this process, I would say, as the least frustrating as possible.
Efficient.
Efficient. Well, I would say efficient, but also to reduce the frustrations. So for example, and I was the first user of that tool, so in a lot of cases I was starting to build an airport, and I was trying to catch myself saying like the French or and when I'm kind of ranting at something, I'm like, okay, this is not the best way to do it. Like we can probably, I've been clicking on this button 4 times already, and there should be a way for me not to click 4 times on this button. So there was lots of discussion with Philippe and Cam to see how we can rearrange some of that design. There's lots of issues with copy and paste and moving objects together, rotating objects, auto aligning things. So it's a lot of work. Making an editor is actually a tremendous amount of work.
And
So-
making an editor on a touchscreen device as well, that's even more work because there's a lot of workflows we need to adjust that you can't do as you would normally on a PC. So we design always with this touchscreen first mentality as well to make it as good as possible. And the same for when flying, for example. If you're holding an iPad, for example, you can't have a button in the middle of the screen because you can't reach that with your thumbs, and that's quite annoying to have to go around there. So there's a lot of little UX thoughts going into this as well.
Yeah. And then the way it's published to the rest of the users. So we have, when you load an airport, you know there's a whole process to decide to kind of like tell other people that you're gonna start building that airport, and then there's you create the airport and then you can send it to our servers, and then there's a review team that's going to look at some of the key points. There's a default system that we have a built-in system to check the scenery for errors. So it's going to look at the taxi lines, it's going to look at the names, it's going to look at if objects. Sometimes if you copy and paste an object, you could have two objects that are basically the same location, but you can't really see them because they're superimposed. So this code is going to tell you like, okay, this object is repeated twice within a certain certain distance. So it's like they shouldn't be this close, or they shouldn't be overlapping. So it's kind of giving you hints as to what to optimize and remove and fix. And then we send that to a team of reviewers. We're going to look at the size of the windows and the textures that are used. If anything is misplaced, if a certain gate has a cart in the way for an airplane, and then once it's good for publication, we publish it to the rest of the Infinite Flight community.
So speaking of airports, what's your favorite airport that's in the sim at the moment?
I like San Francisco. Yeah, and LAX. I like both of those.
Cam?
Can I say an unreleased one that's coming on Monday? Or next week, sorry, not Monday.
Go on in, if that's okay with Laura.
Yeah, it's fine.
Probably Palma in Mallorca.
Oh, yeah, of
that's
course.
coming. I really like that airport.
That's
I still
neat.
remember back in 2015, 2016, Laura, when you were working on Global and you had the satellite imagery first imported, you sent me a screenshot of it. And you're like, look, I'm flying over your house. Back when I used to live there, I was like, whoa. For people that have used Infinite Flight recently, you may not have that same expectation of using Infinite Flight with just regions, but it's completely different now.
Yeah, it used to be way different.
Yeah.
I miss the really, really, really old multiplayer server. just
Why?
to bring it up. No, I don't, because it's like Infinite Flight for me as well. It was essentially my childhood because I've grown up with Infinite Flight. It came out in what 2012? Was it 2012? I want to say 2012.
2012, yeah.
2012.
Well,
yeah.
iOS 2012, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I've grown up playing it, and then multiplayer come out. I remember my cousin saying to me, "Oh, you should definitely get it," because I was never really like a massive Infinite Flight fan back in the day. Like I had, don't sack me, X-Plane, mobile, and all of that.
How dare you?
Daniel.
I had everything back in the day. But I stuck with Infinite Flight, and then I eventually got multiplayer, and it was just so much fun. Was it Half Moon Bay, and everybody flying random aircraft trying to take off on this tiny runway. Sometimes I wish I could just play that once more, but no, those were fun days. Those were fun.
Yeah,
It's come a long way
Half Moon Bay,
since.
This is when we started adding the airport restrictions and start size restrictions. Yeah, a
And
lot of
airport
the
editing as well, Laura, because I remember you pinged me asking if I could add some ramp starts at Half Moon Bay, and that was
Really?
the first airport that was edited because there was only about 10,
Oh.
and everyone was starting there because that was the default airport for live at the time.
that was funny. Yeah.
I remember
Those
doing
were
laps of
our
regions.
main- Yeah, lots of people did. That was boring. No,
Yeah.
no. But it was a 10-hour flight.
Yeah. Cam, I actually remember there was a Hawaii region, wasn't there?
There
Yeah.
was indeed.
There was,
Still
yeah.
is as well.
Yeah, I was flying a BA 777 around the entire region for like 4 hours straight. And I remember I downloaded the KML file and tagged Lifelight app on Instagram, which was you, of course, at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember you reposted it, and I was like, woo, yay. It was so cool. That's when I actually started getting really engaged with the community.
It was so cool. I loved that back in the day that you could just do that, and especially before global, because everyone had the anticipation of wanting to fly outside of regions and wanting to do those long haul flights, but there was no way of doing it realistically.
I remember my first global flight, and it was such a fail. It was, surprise, surprise, Gatwick to Venice, and I remember I got to Venice and just nothing loaded in.
Yeah.
There was just no airport or anything. I was like, oh.
Was that on the first day when it launched?
Yeah, the very first day when like everybody was struggling to get it, and the stream's still up on my channel because I streamed it at the time. It was
I don't know if we want to watch that, because
No.
those release days bring back a lot of PTSD,
Oh, yeah.
because they were so much work.
Oh,
yeah,
no, that was fun.
It was tough indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, and any big release day like that for a major feature is just panic about if the servers break. It's just one thing breaks and then it starts compounding, and then lots of people start writing in, and then we're trying to fix it whilst trying to keep people happy, whilst trying to make sure we can get things back on track. So it's always tiring to put it one way.
But the outcome's good.
There's one question, well, what, 4 questions. So do we have a whole team of developers? I'm not sure what's a whole team, but we're 4.5 now. Just, Cam, Philippe, Kevin, Cam. Wait, hold on. One more.
No, we're 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. And we have Kai, who joined recently. He's half because he's not, he's doing a few hours. Hopefully more soon. Another question is, how hard is coding? I guess it depends if you like it or not. If you like it, there's a learning curve that's pretty steep, but once you, I suppose if you're interested in learning how to code, don't do random exercises. Try to build something you like and you want to build. So if you like Infinite Flight, just have a look at the API and build something on the API. Then you learn at the same time as you're doing something that you really want. Kind of like talking about the waves from before. You can ride the wave of your interest of Infinite Flight to learn how to code something with the API.
I mean, that's how I joined the Infinite Flight team with Lifelight. That's how we got Kai as well. Kai built VANet, which is a tool for VAs, which is really cool. It integrates with the API. It gets all your data from when you've done your flights and shows it to the VA owners. It's really nicely done. And there's so much that you can build. Like John 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗥𝗦𝗛, as he's known on the forum, has made all the in-flight assistant apps. He's made the instruments app before we had instruments as well, and Smooth Track more recently as well, so that you can move your head, record it with your iPhone, and it will move the camera in Infinite Flight, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Tom as well. Tom, one of our moderators, he's building a lot of stuff as well with fly-by-wire. His app is designed so you can run Infinite Flight on your tablet or on your iPad, and then use your iPhone to use it as a yoke, so you can sit back and enjoy it and just fly it from your phone, which is quite nice. And he's working on a few little features in there as well.
All I wanted to build on Xcode was Flappy Bird.
I mean, if that's what you're interested in, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know at the time. You always get those random apps, the toilet games as such, and I was just inspired by those. I wanted to make Flappy Bird 2.0 just as a mess around game, and as mentioned, it just turned out as a rectangle in the middle of the screen, and it didn't go anywhere. So.
Well, there was a lot of courses on that, Dan, if you want to look at one and try it. Honestly, Flappy Bird, that's a great way to learn a lot of concepts about like drawing images, about handling interactions, a bit of physics as well. That's a great project to start with. You're probably not going to become a millionaire like the guy that made it, because I think that ship has sailed. Unless you do it on the blockchain, because that seems to be the new thing that will make you a lot of money, but worth a shout.
Crypto Flappy Bird. Another one is what software do you use to model infinite flight? So I suppose it's the coding part. We use Microsoft Visual Studio, which is a development environment. We code in C#, and we use a tool called Xamarin, which is not part of Microsoft, but it used to be an external company doing this. And they basically cross-compiled to iOS and Android. So the app runs, we do most of our testing on PC, and then we cross-compile to iOS and Android with Visual Studio. And to kind of extend from that, someone's asked what software to use to model the planes. And it's Autodesk 3 Studio Max. It's the 2020 version that we use. And artists use that, and I typically will use it on my computer as well to export the models to a format that we can integrate into Infinite Flight. And for texture, we use Photoshop, of course. And there's like Substance, I think, which is right, it's Substance Painter.
Yeah, it's Substance. Yeah, that's the most recent one they use.
That's used to fine-tune the textures that show reflection, kind of metalness of the objects, or shininess and roughness of the objects.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah, and when someone's asking, like, we usually get asked the question, to ship planes for free, and there's a lot of work that goes into making planes. If one were to design a plane from scratch today, they would need to learn how to use 3D Studio Max. And believe us, it's not an easy application to learn to use.
I can use it as an example. I have it. I've tried it a few times. I have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, I could probably, if I wanted to learn, I'm sure that's something that is the same as what people were asking about coding as well. That's something that you invest your time in and practice it, and you can learn it. But it's one of those programs that you open and it's not intuitive at first. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it takes a lot of training. I actually learned when I was like 17 years old, 16, 17, when I first got my computer. Probably wasn't an official version of it, but come to think of it, it probably was good marketing for them, because now I know how to use the app and that's what I'm using. And I basically learned, like a lot of the kids in my school were using 3D Studio Max to kind of learn how to make video games and all that. So I had to, like, a lot of the models that I used in the app before it was called Infinite Flight were planes that I modeled. The original 172 in the app was one that I made. So it was not that great. The 𝗖𝗛𝗔𝗡𝗟 also was in Super Decathlon was one that I made, and that was the last one that we removed when the X Cup came out. But it's the level of knowledge that I have on this software compared to what our artists today do with the A220, for example, is way beyond what I could ever do. It would take way too much time to learn all this. There's lots of new techniques to generate those shadows and all that I'm not, familiar with. But it's really complex software. So if you were to join, you would have to know how to do this. And then you would have to learn how to code the instruments and understand all the system to make the model fly, the plane fly. So there's lots of work and lots of prerequisites that I don't think a person who wants to, the plane to be free would do this for free themselves.
Yeah. That would it is a lot of work, and when people are a bit surprised when we say that an aircraft can take at least 6 months to build from the first modeling stage to release, I mean, there's a lot going on there. We have lots of versions of the model that we use to iterate through as we develop it, when we test it. We've got levels of detail, so that's separate models we use essentially that have to be drawn and modified so that we can improve and maximize the performance on the device. There's all the liveries, there's all the roughness that Laura was talking about for the different metallic textures, and then the instruments, they're their own beast as well. We do a pretty nice job of doing what's usable on a mobile device and what we think is a good standard for flying the aircraft. But I mean, if you compare it with some specialist developers of aircraft on PC, for example, they can take years to model the whole systems, model everything to be interactive, model a full cockpit, full cabin that you can walk around. We like to focus on the flying experience and something that you would enjoy using on an iPad or on a phone. And I think we get a pretty good balance there.
Just giving everybody a tour right now of the cabin whilst you're talking there.
They're asking about the night lighting.
Let's show it again. This has got to be one of my favorite features with the A220. I remember when I loaded it up a week or so ago now. I had no clue, literally no clue that it was there. And turned on the main battery on the APU, and then all of a sudden the cabin lit up and all the noises started booting up, and I was like, wow. I was so glad. This is new. Super, super cool. It makes the experience so much more realistic as well. Being able to set up a camera in the cabin and, you know, be able to walk around essentially as well with the lights just makes it really, really cool and immersive.
It'd be nice if those screens would light up.
If the what would light up?
The displays on the back of the
yeah.
the seats.
Yeah, then we talk about showing in-flight movies or something.
Yeah.
Atari Breakout on the back of every single seat.
Yeah. Don't try me. Someone's asking, what do you do to get invited to the Infinite Flight staff team? You build something that piques our interest, and then you come work for us.
Or you live stream.
Exactly.
Do
You
cool
build
live
something.
streams. Do cool live streams, and then you can come work for us. Or do a live flight application based on a lousy API that I've built over a weekend.
It's not lousy. It's artisanal code. Let's put it that way.
Artisanal code. Yeah, exactly.
I love this cabin. A lot.
There's a question about, kind of controversial, how do I feel about a competitor copying our layout? I wish they would have been a little more creative. There's other ways to do this than straight up copying a design that Philippe and I spent a lot of time building the design for those buttons. So I wish they were a little more creative, because they clearly can do things. So yeah, there's nothing I can do about it, so whatever.
Aviator's channel said, imagine watching YouTube Dan live stream on the screens in the cabin.
Well, you say that, and I've just seen a comment from Captain No Gear, who always does the really fun reaction videos after watching our premiere. I can't wait to watch that one. And he has a Scottish flag as his profile picture, which is great.
I've seen loads and loads of questions on how many airports will come in 21.8. Is this something we want to keep as a surprise, or we have discussed this before about previous releases, but
I mean, sure, why not? I've already leaked enough. There's going to be 19 airports coming.
Woo! Laura, sound effects, go.
I need to find which one is great.
She's finding the "can please visit me in my office" sound.
Can you hear this? Can you hear this? No?
No.
No.
Why is it not working? I'm incompetent. I don't know why it's not working. Maybe there's another setting that I haven't pressed on. It was an applause.
Is it desktop audio that you're capturing?
Sorry, what?
In Discord, are you capturing your desktop audio as well? Could that be what it is?
Oh, maybe not. I don't want to touch this.
Yeah, don't break things in production.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll see EOS webcam utility pop up on the screen for the next 5 minutes.
Or it was secretly a camera all along.
Yeah, no, yeah, probably because it's capturing from the mic directly and not from the computer.
Yep.
And I don't want to touch this because before it did funny things. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
That's the best way.
Someone's asking, how do you become a beta tester? It's co-optation. I think it's usually we get recommendation from other beta testers. Or we're also going to maybe find in the forum people that have been helpful finding issues, repros, or generally been, present and seemed savvy in the use of Infinite Flight or finding bugs. Because there's lots of, to be a good beta tester, there's lots of logic that's involved in it, and some people we've noticed over the years that some are not cut for this. So for example, some like if we get a report saying like, okay, if the plane does this or the screen does this, repro steps are take a plane, fly 12 hours from Charles de Gaulle to LAX, and then do this, a whole bunch of steps. It's like now it repros. And you're like, okay, so what if I just do the last 2 steps and it repros 2? So it's like, okay, the repro has to be the smallest common denominator of all the possible conditions. And sometimes we lose a lot of time as developers trying to repro the problem when, it's not really what the issue was. So it's great to have people that understand a little bit of development, but it's not required. I think just the logic of it is more important, and being able to communicate also is.
And that said, please don't go on our forum now and start reporting every single bug you find, because that will not help you become a beta tester. There are a lot of issues or inconsistencies in Infinite Flight, especially with past deliveries and aircraft models that we are aware of, and we do track it internally. It's just a case of dedicating the artist's time and the resources towards fixing them. Sometimes that can't come straight away. But if you do find issues in Infinite Flight, for example, or if you find an annoyance in your flight or something that causes your flight to be destroyed or ruined, then the best way of doing that is telling us how it happened, what device you're using, give us a replay if you have it. That's always really useful, and just as much information as possible.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works.
What?
I love this question, and it's been asked before, I think, but I'm going to ask it again. Where do you see, this is a question for both of you, I guess, where do you see Infinite Flight in, let's say, 5 years' time?
When you said throw a spanner in the works, I thought you were going to say the server is down or the app crashed. So
no, that only happens when I'm on the casual server.
Ah, good, yes, yeah.
I don't know. I would spill the beans on the stuff that I'm working on, so I guess I would say.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
We want to keep building up the multiplayer environment,
Yeah.
and there's a lot we want to do with Infinite Flight, especially now we have buildings and there's a whole world that can be explored. So yeah, the collaboration and the community is one of the biggest parts of Infinite Flight, one of the parts that we love the most, because it's how we get to interact with all of you right now. And just being able to find ways to improve that and make your flights more fun, make group activities more fun is something we've been wanting to do for a while.
There's questions about taxi lights. So I assume they're talking about lighting the ground, and that's something that hopefully, at some point in the future we'll be able to have. There was a lot of technical debt that we had to fix, that we started fixing when the buildings came alive. So we cleaned up a whole bunch of rendering infrastructure and code to facilitate these kinds of special effects like lighting that shines on objects and better shadows and all that. Yeah. So when you ask a question, there's no need to ask it like a million times. But the Chromebook question, I believe we work on Chromebook.
Not fully, no.
No?
It's because it runs on Intel processors, I believe, and we have some architecture issues. But we are aware of it, and this is something that we do want to fix, and it is something I think I might have fixed, but I need to test. It was that crash you sent me last week, Laura, with the serialization.
Yeah, we actually got a message from someone at Intel directly to let us know that it was not working.
Yeah.
And they really wanted us to fix it because they've tried many channels.
Somebody said, can we show all of the A220 liveries at the end of the stream? And that's a no. We'll leave that as a surprise. We've shown enough already, especially in the premiere. If you haven't already seen the premiere, there's lots. There's just like a gold mine for A220 stuff at the moment. So I'd recommend watching that if you haven't done so already. But no, the answer's no to that one. We'll keep it a surprise for you.
One question is, will the air bridges ever move? Yeah, eventually they will move. We just need to figure out the logistics of it. If we synchronize them over the network, it's not, because ideally be great if a jet bridge that's connected to a plane next to you was actually connected in your game too. So that's something that we need to take care of. And yeah, so hopefully at some point in the future we'll have them move. They're already animated because this is how the airport designers are moving them to the right positions. The animation's already built. We just don't automatically do it or allow the users to do it at this point.
Let's have a look. I had a question, but it's completely gone out of my head at the minute.
Does this plane have wing flex? It does, yes. It's not as visible as it would be on the 787, but it does have it, yeah.
The one thing I've actually noticed about wing flex A220, it's present, but the wings on 220 in general seem like typical Airbus, really. Although it's not officially Airbus, but it is now. They're not very very flexy. Like these are very like sort of sturdy wings, and they don't typically tend to flap around like a 787's wing does, for example. Well, they're a lot smaller, of course, but yeah, there is wing flex. Maybe I can try and demonstrate it a little bit here by going on the outside.
You're a Flappy Bird, Dan.
Flappy birds, flappy wings. Yep. Let's see, there's not very much wind at the moment. You should be able to see it flexing just a little bit here. Is the update out now? No, it's not. Not at the moment. It's not.
What about now?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. There we go, because of course out of the corner of my eye. I would like 10,000 playbacks on this stream so far. 10,000. Yeah,
that's quick.
That's insane. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. That's a very big number, very, very fast. 10,000 playbacks. I don't even hit that on my own channel that quickly. Dan, how much time is left? 1 hour and 9 minutes in total, and 48 till the TOD. So it's actually not too long at all, really. We're doing well on time. Let's have a look. Cam, I'm going to pull up live flight here. I love live flight. It's very useful.
I really need to improve that someday. I do have some improvements I started working on, but just don't have enough time.
Let's have a look here. You should see the size of the line of aircraft behind us right now. If you go onto live flight right now, I'm sure that if you was to go onto the home screen of Infinite Flight and look at all the white dots that are on the screen, you'll be able to see this line that's been made right across the country here. Got to try and find myself now because there's loads and loads of aircraft, and I'm just one out of maybe 100. Let's have a look.
server. Let's see.
This is good.
Oh my god, yeah, there's a long line.
There's a huge line. I don't have the subscription. Sorry, Cam. So I can't search myself.
Oh,
I'm not supporting your efforts. Sorry.
That's fine. Wow. Gonna go eat some beans for dinner now, Dan, because of this. Thank you.
Usually I'm easy to find because there's always like 101 jets surrounding me, but that doesn't seem to be the case right now.
I don't have a subscription to.
Traitor.
Well, I think I do, but it logs me out all the time, so.
Yeah, it's a legacy code base. It will be improved. I have actually got like a new version, like the new backend written. I just need to do the iOS app.
Don't forget to do sign in with Apple.
Yeah. I did that. That was the first thing I did. No, of course, like the only reason I can't do it is because I must buy myself one of those new MacBook Pros, so it's the only way.
That's terrible.
I know.
Okay, I'm logging in. Taking a long time. Oh, I have a
I give up.
subscription
I
that
actually can't
expires in
find
19
myself.
years. Thank you, Cam. It's better support IF in 19 years.
Well, I'm now responsible for the API as well, so
No.
it's all on me. Nice message from Lee in the chat who says, "You folks are the best. I'm a dad of a family and can't afford a full sim, but IF gives me the satisfaction I need from a sim in my hand." Thanks, Lee. It's exactly what we love doing. I think that's why we wanted to build it on mobile as well. There's just so many instances where it's just so great when you can just pull out an iPad or a phone.
Yeah, and if I think back when I was a teen, I probably would have had a phone way before I had a PC.
Mm.
And I probably would have been an IF fanatic as well.
What are the complications? Obviously, we get so many questions about it being on PC. Like, what barriers are actually in the way of putting Infinite Flight on a PC?
Well, I don't trust Laura to answer this one, so we do actually run on PC internally. We have an internal developer build which is on Windows because it means we can debug it a lot quicker. There's a lot of complications when it comes to polish. I mean, it's designed for mobile. We put all of our efforts on everything working properly on mobile. There's the issue of a lot more devices. PC is an open system because anyone can choose the parts that they want, or the graphics cards and CPU combos. And this it's just added friction for us in terms of testing because if we run it on an iPad, it's very likely it's going to run very similarly on every other iPad, but you may get some specific graphics issues with a PC which has an NVIDIA graphics card and an AMD processor, for example, or just random combinations like that. And more than anything, we're designing everything for like a touchscreen as well right now, so we need better support to make sure that all of our controls could work. You can run everything in the same way that you would with, say, Microsoft Flight Simulator or X-Plane, where it's designed for all your inputs, all of your peripherals. It's not saying it's impossible. It's definitely very possible, but it's just not something we are focusing on right now.
Well, there's always BlueStacks.
Which, yeah, to a degree.
To a degree, yep.
We did reach out to them to ask if they could support, because they support controllers, I think, but not joysticks. Android itself, if you have an Android device and you plug in a USB like this one, a USB joystick like this one, it works on Android, but it doesn't work on BlueStacks, unfortunately. So we reached out to them to tell them like it would be great if they could have a way to kind of forward those controls from the PC to the BlueStacks environment. They said they would look into it, but who knows? I hope they're going to do it. It would be great.
I had no luck with my joystick. When I tried to fly an Infinite Flight on BlueStacks, it just, I wasn't moving anywhere.
So there's one. Sorry, go ahead.
We're also keeping an eye on it as well because Windows 11 has some form of native Android support, and that would be nice if we can get that working. The same with like the new Macs, the M1s can run iOS apps. It needs a bit of adjustment for us for controls and for screen sizing and all sorts of things that don't exist on mobile. But yeah,
the industry might take care of this for us.
yeah.
Do you have Windows 11?
What?
Do you have Windows 11?
No, I don't.
I don't even want to try downloading it.
I have it on my laptop.
I feel scared that it's going to break everything that I have.
That's why I haven't done it on my main PC yet. But I was using it on my laptop when I was traveling, doing some Infinite Flight development, and it worked absolutely fine.
There's one question. Someone is asking how to become a translator for Infinite Flight, and Cam can answer that one.
Yeah, so if you head over to our GitHub or like account, which is or you can message me at Cameron on the forum as well. I can send you the instructions. That message was from someone. Thank you for willing to volunteer to do it for Russian. We actually have a couple of people doing it for Russian already. They're just being a bit busy right now with exams and final work, but that would be something we'd like to do. And it's the same for other languages. We have some cool people doing some great languages right now. Like I had Albanian, there was Bulgarian, all sorts.
How about English?
Yes.
Not really used, so.
No. It's a dying language.
11,000 playbacks, by the way. This is
Very
crazy.
cool.
This is crazy.
Oh, someone's asking when's the giveaway.
Oh yeah, that's very true actually.
So it's now.
We forgot.
The first one is now.
There we go. We'll do one now. Why not? We've got 3 to do. So, Laura, if you're up for it, would you like to figure out a keyword and shoot it into the group chat we have here, and then I can run Nightbot?
Okay. Let me just think.
Andrew said, "Will you add the Aviator Dan livery?"
This is your fault, Dan. You instigated this.
It's great. Okay, it looks very nice.
Can
The
it
one
be?
that has.
Sorry. Does it have
No,
to
go
be
for it.
just one word, or can it have a space? Better if
Let's
it's
just
two
stick
words?
to one word to
Okay.
keep it nice and easy. The Q400 plus rocket supersonic thing that I posted on my Instagram the other day got a lot of people thinking.
We could
Yes.
build it. We should.
Yeah, Laura, you've already done your R&D in the rocket department.
I have. Nah, I've done some R&D in the orbital flight, not
Orbital
rocket.
mechanics.
Yeah.
Just put a lot of zeros at the end of the configuration for the aircraft, for the engines.
Mm.
Okay, right. I've got the keyword in, and Laura, when you're ready, shout it out.
All right. So the keyword is A220 with the A capital A. And fire it up.
Aviation in Mexico said, "Build the Dan Q400."
Wow.
Whoa, that's a lot of A220s.
Well, we go. Someone's asking a question about SimLink. So it's something from Navigraph. I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, Nightbot's being a. Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's hiding things.
Okay, maybe I could suggest just typing A220 once in the chat, because I believe the bot that we have running is considering it as spam. So your best bet is just type the word once. It should stop that, I think.
I see the same names posting it over and over again.
Yeah. And again, just for clarity, this is 1 month of Infinite Flight Pro that you could win entirely free, and it's super, super simple. The steps, I mean, we get in touch with you, or you get in touch with us, and we simply add it to your account. Easy as that. Well, I say it's as easy as that. Cam could see otherwise if it's...
Yeah, it's easy for Dan, because Dan's just like, here you go, Cam, please deal with this. I have to spend hours writing more artisanal code to make it work.
A220 Dan livery. They're not going to live it down now.
Tell you what, we'll add the A220 Dan livery if it gets to the top of our features category by the end of the year of all time votes.
Vote on the forum now. Open the feature request.
Someone is confused with the A220 spam.
It's the reason why there's A220 about 1 million times in the chat right now is that we have a giveaway going on, and essentially it's a keyword giveaway. So all you have to do is type in A220 on its own into the chat, and you'll be entered into this prize draw here that will roll in a couple of minutes. Very quickly, if you are entering the giveaway, I would highly suggest that you are active when we roll it. If you aren't present when we roll the giveaway, and of course you win, and you aren't here to claim the prize, we'll simply re-roll and give the prize to somebody else. So I would advise to stay on the stream for that portion.
So someone's asking if Infinite Flight could be expanded to Space Flight Simulator 2. I actually did a few tests there's some pictures on my Twitter of the ISS. It's something that at the company we're passionate about. Usually the SpaceX launches are going to be broadcast or mentioned on our Slack. And yes, it would be really cool. I think with the planet system that we have, we could definitely do something with that. Not in the immediate future. Yeah. And my Twitter is Laura Vietrix. Just look up Laura Laban Infinite Flight Twitter. You'll find it.
Just search for Apple and Laura will be trending.
No. Don't do this. We're gonna get rejected again.
I would say 10 more seconds and let's roll this.
Yeah.
So a cool question. Someone asking if other planets will also be rendered as cubes. Probably.
Why would they be cute? Like the moon is actually a 3D object in Infinite Flight.
Yeah, but if we use the tile system.
Yeah.
Laura, using dev hacks, have you gone to the moon in Infinite Flight?
Yes. But it's not. The only way to get to the moon right now is to use the free camera. And the problem is the moon, like you would always be stuck to one particular position on the planet, and the moon moves around, so you have to really follow it, and it goes fast.
Right.
So it's not. Yeah. Now you make me want to go with some kind of a rover, like some kind of lunar lander.
Next Twitter post confirmed.
Yeah, Laura's redoing Apollo 11.
It would be fun, I think it would be fun to have to expand into like space stuff. You could be flying an Infinite Flight, and you would have the ISS flying above you.
I would love that.
You're casually coming into
happened.
land on your 787, and an international space station just falls out of the sky and like smashes into the ground next to you or something. A space shuttle on final.
I did fly on live with the ISS a few times. So people have noticed. It's fun. I think I talked to Center once.
I remember that. You broke something. I remember just getting like error reports.
I think it was I think I just said I think I reported something, and it reported like me at 3 million feet or something.
ISS checking in IFR, like, I don't know, 3 million feet.
Yeah, coming in for a ballistic final.
Alright, can we do the draw now?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Joel C has won this giveaway. Joel, if you could please contact us on the forum or leave your forum name in the live chat right now, that'll be picked out automatically for us here, and we can get in touch with you after the stream. That would be awesome. Again, if you could leave your forum name in the chat, that would be fantastic. Then we'll be able to easily contact you on the forum.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. There we go. That's fine. Don't worry, everyone, because that's 1 down and 2 to go. There's still 2 more chances.
And there's no need to type it anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't do anything.
There we go. Awesome stuff.
There's a question that says, do we plan on having 3D clouds in the future? Sure. You know, it's something we'd love to have. 3D clouds are a little more demanding than the ones that we currently have. But it's definitely something we'd love to have. With all the reworks that we've done as part of the Project Metal umbrella, it's definitely something that's more doable now.
I'm planning on the next 2 giveaways here. I think we should do one maybe 10 minutes before the TOD, and then one as we're descending. That way we can have a nice smooth arrival into Abu Dhabi today. There we go. Cool. I've got the forum name here. Okay, Joel, we'll get in touch with you after this stream. Congratulations again.
Someone's saying no plans for the I muted, no, the Korean A220. I mean, we haven't confirmed every single livery, so don't lose hope just yet if your livery hasn't been shown on the stream. Who knows, maybe a beta tester will be at the airport to leak it when we get there. You never know.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if one of us is an F1 to Formula 1 fan, I suppose. I used to, but not anymore.
Misha is, hence the FNF.
Yeah.
Question is the space shuttle coming back? Well, if we ever went back into the space stuff, maybe as a legacy thing, but it's not really used anymore. So we probably have, I think we'd have more fun having a starship in there.
Yeah. Or we can take that off and land it as well.
Yeah. It's a fun looking plane or rocket. It's like a plane when it comes down, sort of.
Yeah.
It's using control surfaces to do crazy things.
Question from Crazy Bee. They said, what about some aircraft carriers?
Yeah.
Thoughts and feelings on that?
There were some mentions that since we have the F-18 coming soon, and that piqued my interest. So, yeah.
That would be fun.
Nice. Yeah, it would be fun. It would be really fun.
You just can't fall off the edge of the ship.
I mean, I would use it to land the X-Cub on it, but and I know you would land a 747, right, Dan?
Yeah. TikTok video ideas right now.
Yeah. Or if you're not going to do it, it's going to be Swiss 001. So
yeah. Someone will.
Mdor was suggesting doing a SpaceX VA. I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah. Someone's asking, how do you determine the engine N1? So that would be, if the question is about when we design it, we typically go by the manufacturer data, so the flight manual, and also we also go through some of the videos online to see what the parameters are for some of that, some of those phases of flights, and we tune things so that the N1 is matching. You're welcome, PES Pro.
Cool.
Lights improvements soon. We'll talk about lights in the future, but nothing too to announce yet.
We're 27 minutes away from the top of descent. It's gone quite quickly, actually. Really, really quickly.
Someone's asking about smoother AP transitions. Believe me, I have tried. I wish there was someone else I could blame for this, but it's just my fault, and it's really hard. Yeah, there's some mechanisms that make things a little bit easier, but we're not. I believe some other sims are actually taking over the controls of the plane completely. Like they're actually moving the plane itself. That's not what we do with Infinite Flight. We actually control the surfaces, just like you would. So it comes with a little bit of more complex system implementation. So, yeah, believe me, if something is bothering you, it probably bothers me too. I'm responsible for fixing it.
Probably bothers all of us.
Yeah.
And if it is easy to fix, we fixed it. If it's not, it's because it probably requires several systems to be reworked, which will take months and headaches. So, yeah, we will get there as well eventually.
And there's a question from Umar Ozbek. What coding language do you use in Infinite Flight, or for coding the aircraft? It's the same. It's C#. Like for the instruments at least, and the flight physics is also in C#. It's written C#, but it's pronounced C#.
C#, isn't that a Microsoft language? Isn't that what corporate companies use?
Yeah, yes, that's what it is.
Somebody just asked, what about Q&H for more experienced pilots on the expert server?
I was just thinking about this today.
Okay.
Yeah. I just need it would be my typical Saturday morning project, but I think the Q&H it's not just a matter of adding it, because I think we have the data from the atmospheric model that we get. The problem is that there's a whole bunch. We need to add ATC commands. We need to check if the altimeter's out or off. So there's a little more involved with this than just adding it. Yeah. There's a
Someone's
question
asking as well about interior lighting linked with Project Metal. Not really, no. It's more of an aircraft specific feature.
Gonzo just asked, is there any chance to get VNAV for the top of climb? So VNAV when we're ascending.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to have that. There's one controller that we've had since the beginning. So there's different autopilot modes, and one that we have is the speed climb controller, which basically assigns a speed. It's usually the IAS mode if you use an autopilot in a plane, and we could use that to do the reverse of the VNAV. I'd love to do this. But yeah, it's just have to make sure that, because it's climbing, you need the power, you need to make sure that you got. But I suppose if the in IAS mode climb, it would just adjust the pitch for that indicated airspeed. But yeah, it's something I want to do. There's a question about the helicopters, about the April Fool's picture that we posted of the helicopter, I think that we did. It's actually a real helicopter that we have, that I have on my PC. I was just trying to play with helicopter physics to see, and it's pretty addictive. I like it, but there's no plans to do that in the near future. But it was fun to fly.
International Space Station, helicopters, moon rovers soon. What's next?
I also have there's a SpaceX Dragon, a Crew Dragon also that I tested with.
What about the refueling truck that flies?
Oh yeah, there's also
Oh no.
a flying refueling truck.
Oh.
We're a serious company.
Yeah.
These would make funny TikToks.
Oh yeah, I guess I could. It's still on there. I'm pretty sure I could still launch it.
That'd be hilarious. Have you heard the helicopter sound on TikTok? It's like helicopter, helicopter. That'd be great.
Yes.
That'd-
Dan, honest question. Like, when you see one of these new trends, does it just make sense to you right away? Because I don't know why, but every time I'm seeing a new trend on TikTok, I feel old. I'm like, what?
I don't know, to be honest with you. No, not really. No. I don't really understand it's a trend until like a month later.
Yeah.
I don't latch on straight away.
Okay.
Until you're making a video and then you see that it's a trending sound and you're like, oh, okay, that would be a good one to use, and then you realise it's a trending thing. But yeah, I don't know.
One
just see us.
question.
Go on, sorry.
Oh no, yes. One question about. So Crazy Bee asked, what's your most wanted feature? I would say the secret thing I'm working on now. But if I can talk about this, it would be, I think, clouds and rain. I just, you know what? I follow some of those pilots on Twitter, and there was one that posted a picture. I think they're flying for a freight, the UPS or DHL, and they were under, like, you know, the rain was just pouring. I would just love to be in line waiting for takeoff with a lot of rain, and same being over the clouds and listening to the ATIS reporting, you know, heavy rain, and knowing that I'm gonna have to go into the soup. But yeah, clouds would be top of my mind.
What about like other types of precipitation, like snow and hail?
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That'd be super cool. Snow has a little more difficulty because you need to kind of make it
Float.
stick to the ground.
Yeah, and stick.
I'm surprised no one is like convinced that snow is confirmed, because we had that little snow animation on the premiere video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A massive shout out to Jason for making that video. Great work. And Philippe actually found the sound, right? That's what the.
Yeah, they were working on it together. Because normally there's an Infinite Flight trailer style that you hear, and it's, you know, it's powerful, it's exciting, and we'll get pumped every time we hear it. But we went a bit more Christmassy this year.
It's been a great choice.
Yeah. I remember Jason sent it to me. It's like, you're not gonna like this one. And I listened to it. I was like, well, why not? It's cool.
Yeah, me too. He said you're not gonna like it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
Christmassy trailer, but it's going to release in summer 2022.
And those
Plot twist.
those shots that you see in the trailers usually are shot from my PC, because I can hide some of the UI, and I have a controller here that I use. It's PS something.
4.
PS4 controller. I have special axes that I can bind into IF, and I basically use the free camera as a drone, and since it has the kind of varying pressure, it can make really smooth movements, and I use the triggers to zoom in and out. It's pretty cool.
You need to show me how you got that to work. I couldn't.
You just plug it in.
Huh?
You just plug it in. It works.
No, it's because I tried it on Android and it didn't work there. This way.
I think it should work. Yeah.
Half the axes did, half of them didn't.
What device did you use?
The S10, I think. Yeah.
Or like what controller?
Oh, PS4 controller as well.
I haven't tried that, but it should work.
Oh, what did I press? Oh, I hate having loads of Oh no, what have I pressed? I have, my mouse has like buttons down the side of it as well.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I accidentally tapped a button, and now I've lost some of the stuff on the actual streaming software. Oh dear, what's going on here then? Not good. It's fine. Is the stream still up and running? I believe it is.
Yeah, it's running. You can still see you.
I'll open another tab. I don't want to close the tab in case it ends the stream. I get so scared when everything's live. It's so nerve-wracking.
How do you use a mouse like that? They're awful.
I don't even have the buttons mapped or anything. Like I just.
You should get an MX Master. That's the true one you should have.
Well, it still has this like, happy button on the side.
Yeah.
You can do funky things. Yeah, one that I hate on Windows is the shaking. If you shake an app, it minimizes everything else. And sometimes I'm super, undecided. I'm like, I want to move this on some screen, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, and then everything goes down, and there's no way to undo it. Drives me crazy. Apparently on Windows 11 now it's an option. On 10 you have to go into the registry. It's annoying.
Like an ideal mix would be, the desktop management and the gestures of Mac OS, but when you drag the window to the top, it maximizes it on Windows. And the snapping, that's amazing.
Lee's Aviation said, "Are we getting the diamond play button?" We're
soon. Trademark.
Very far away from a diamond play button.
Someone asked about connecting joysticks to the iOS app. We'd love this. We'd want a way so you can just plug it into your iPad, but this isn't something that Apple supports right now. Maybe in the future we've gone to their forum and made a feature request as well. So we're hoping that one day Apple will have joystick support on iOS. There is a way with the API to do it if anyone in the community wants to build an app. There's been like Map Connect that's tried it, or Lifelight Connect, but they're both open source as well if anybody wants to contribute.
I think we should do a. Oh, sorry, Laura.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to mention another giveaway at some point very soon. If you'd like to, or if you said what you was about to say, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, there's a question about gate assignments. There may be something interesting to that effect in the future update. So when you're taxiing, the plan is in the future update to have better ground experience. So it wouldn't just be taxi to parking and taxi, at your discretion, yeah, so hopefully soon.
Okay, Cam, you're in charge of the next giveaway here. You're the keyword decider for this one.
Yeah, I was meant to think of a word, but I forgot.
Contacting Emirates Center on 129.0, Eshihad 1. Contacting Emirates Center on 129.0. Aero Mexico 1.
There's so many words.
It's a lot of words we can choose from.
Very
They have to
many.
be English. Can we make it something impossible to type, like in Finnish or something?
Copy and paste like a line of code from Infinite Fly.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I just had someone message me saying, how about I use Monday as the word?
Proceed on course to Abu Dhabi. Proceed on course.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Let's use a word that was in the screenshot I sent this morning. That I sent to Jason. He posted on Twitter. It's not aviation related, but it's enough that.
Let's have a look here. Okay.
Proceed on course to Abu Dhabi.
Proceed on course. Q87561.
Avavia 001. Contact Emirates Center on.
We're saying can use 21.8.
Proceed on
It's
course.
not a word, I'm afraid.
All right, awesome stuff. Cam, when you're ready, you can say the keyword.
Okay, the word is state.
0893 Heavy is 8 nautical miles southeast of pump station at 35.
All you have to do is
That's
type
it.
state for a month of in-flight pro.
As an American state or the state of things.
Request not required after check-in.
Finn Walsh, thank you
Okay.
for the sub.
Emirate Center on 129.0.
Thanks for the sub.
Avia 001.
Sorry, someone called empty toilet paper roll. Okay.
It's easier to find the questions from that list now. Someone says New York. That's the best state, that's true, but it's not the right answer.
Chat goes wild again. The chat rate was 18, and I'm just waiting for it to update and go wild now.
KLM 272 Victor Alpha Heavy. Contact Emirates Center on 129.0.
13,500 playbacks. Incredible.
Is this one of the top streams, Dan? Or?
Yeah, I think it is one of the top streams. I mean, the last huge stream that we done was the 21.1 pre-release stream on Twitch, so we don't really have the stats for that one. But on YouTube, yeah, this is definitely the most popular.
Thank you. Good day. Tabjet 1. Contact
There's a question that keeps coming back about hold mode and LNAV hold mode. I'd love to. I've tried a few things, but it's not. It wasn't in a state that was satisfactory enough. So it's still in drawers for now. Another one about emergencies. Are we gonna have random emergencies? Maybe at some point in the future, but there's no plan for this now. And in case someone hasn't listened before because they just joined, there's no custom engine sounds for the 220. We have them on order, and they should be available at some point in the future.
And another question that comes up, the A220 will be available for pro subscribers.
Aeroflot 148 Victor Alpha. Contact Abu Dhabi Radar West Secondary on 124.6.
Going to give a 5-second countdown here, and then we will. Cam, you can do the 5-second countdown. Why not?
Should we let it run for another 20 minutes? No, just kidding. I'm just curious how long we could let it go if there will still be people here tomorrow writing state.
Oh,
Of course they
a long
will.
while.
Yeah, anything for a free sub. Alright, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, draw it.
And Ace Orbit, well done. Congratulations on
Whoa.
winning 1 month of Infinite Flight Pro.
Congrats.
Yes.
Ace Orbit's one of our airport editors, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, lovely, nice.
Skyflyer 362 Kilo Hotel.
There we go.
People, the contest is over. You can stop typing state, or type your favorite state instead.
Yeah.
It has to be New York.
It has to be New York.
Puerto Rico.
Ace Orbit, could you please provide us with your forum name in the chat? That would be awesome, unless Cam you already know.
Oh, I'll message him.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's fine. That works great.
Skyflyer 362 Kilo Hotel.
KLM 272 Victor Alpha Heavy. Requesting descent via Yuko 3.
404 people watching live right now. Just to keep you all updated, we are currently 8 minutes away from our top of descent and about 30 minutes away from touching down in Abu Dhabi in the all-new A220. It's about 252 nautical miles, so really not too far at all now. We're about to fly over Doha.
Having all these people type their state, it would be nice to see the countries as well.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You can type the country you're from.
Radar contact. Delta 14 Heavy. Requesting climb to flight level 230. Proceed on course. Viper 1. KLM 272 Victor Alpha Heavy. Proceed as
Scotland.
requested.
Is
Delta
that you?
14 Heavy. Climb and maintain
Germany.
Not me.
level 230. Sky Dubai 46
Mexico.
Romeo. Expect vectors for the ILS approach runway 31 left at Abu
That was
Dhabi.
Albania.
Via Yuko 3 Delta arrival.
Well, for
KLM
Albanian
272
people,
Victor Alpha Heavy.
he may be the one that's
Aeroflot
translating it, but
148
yes,
Victor Alpha. Please
we
follow
should hopefully have
instructions
Albanian
when
in the
you
app at some point.
reported. Climb and maintain flight level
Latvia,
230.
China.
Delta 14 Heavy.
Norway, Brazil, 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 Brazil.
Paris, Belgium.
Melbourne is not a country.
Yeah.
Emirate Center. Malaysia
Essex is not a country.
Is Wales a country? No.
Radar contact. Malaysian 001 Mike Hotel.
Graydon Has Street Real Estate is in the chat. What's up? Graydon is a legend.
Costa Rica, Botswana, damn. All over the world.
That's from all over the world. So cool.
Frequency change approved. Good day.
Speaking about all around the world, have you done much traveling, Cam, Laura?
You mean in the before times?
Yeah, but the before times,
The
yeah.
legend, the legend says I've been to many countries. Been to the US, obviously, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Dominican Republic, England, Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, Spain, Morocco. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Not bad.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I've been, obviously, UK, Spain, France, Italy, US, Canada, Finland, Czech Republic. I've not been to as many countries, but I go often. In the after times, I've been to Palma this year, and I've been to Helsinki this year.
Nice.
How about you, Dan?
Finland, Greece, France, Belgium, the US, Dominican Republic, Spain.
Come on, I would have done that too.
Scotland. Definitely not as much as you guys, but yeah.
Yeah. Where did you go in Finland, out of curiosity, Dan?
Oh, I can't remember. It was to see Santa.
Of course, yeah.
On a 757 many years ago from Gatwick, of course.
Oh, nice. I've seen a few people, British pilots, doing that route up to Kittilä in the north, and it's so cold. It looks so cold.
We was there for literally like not even 24 hours. We were supposed to stay there, and my cousin got really ill as we was about to go.
No.
So they had to cancel us, and it was just me and my mum who went in the end. We literally just went for 24 hours and flew back.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Well,
It was fun.
you avoided the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone saying that Mallorca should just be considered Germany at this point, and to a degree, yeah. I've lived there for a few years. It is a territory of Germany almost.
Someone asked me how was Mexico. It was pretty good. Went to Cancun and Puebla. Puebla.
Puebla.
Puebla.
Requesting descent via Euclid 3 Delta
It was
arrival.
pretty good.
LL78 Echo Alpha Heavy. Unable at this time.
3 minutes away from the TOD.
Aero Mexico 1 Heavy.
I actually had a question from ACE-Orbit, who won the giveaway. He was asking about if there are any plans to implement star constraints below, above, between, and optimize descent profiles. Laura, any insight?
So this procedure system we have now is the first iteration of the system. It does include sometimes the minimum and maximum altitude. Sometimes
Descending via Euclid 3
it just
Delta
is like the altitude you need to maintain. But yeah, I'd love to go back and do another pass at this to see what we can improve, especially for those that have RDMEs and vector departures, because there's some sits that don't show anything, and it's the same I think in ForeFlight and others in the Garmin. I think it doesn't show anything. I'd love to maybe at some point have a way to render those. So there's some kind of flight plan continuity in there. But yeah, it's just the format that we get the data in is not the easiest format in the world. It's very convoluted. It's a long file.
Refer to page XX and halfway through.
And it's like the documentation for the exact version of the file is not public. So we have to use the documentation from an older version that sometimes doesn't really match some of the parameters. It's really...
Stand by. I'm just going to pause the stream really quickly. Okay, apologies for the slight inconvenience there. There was just a crash, as you could see, but we're back on track and heading back towards Abu Dhabi as we speak. I'll spawn as close as I can at a local airport to obviously add a little bit more time onto the stream as well, so that we don't just end it straight away, take off on land immediately. But we should be there very soon. I'll contact approach, and we should receive some vectors, as I haven't had the chance to really file a massive flight plan because we just spawned locally. But we're back on track, and hopefully things can go smoothly from here on.
It's the joy of beta.
The joy of beta, absolutely. Yeah.
We did look into our error tracker and found what the error was. Well, we found what it was. The cause is uncertain.
Yeah.
It's probably my fault. Don't judge me too much.
Oh well, it's fine. We're back in.
It's good to keep you on your toes, Dan.
Yeah.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November.
Active airspace contact Abu Dhabi Center, North Primary on the 118.42. Okay. 118.42.
Qatari 911 Heavy. Request frequency change.
There we go.
As if nothing ever happened.
Exactly. Nothing happened, right?
It was a commercial break, someone said.
Yeah, exactly. Insert ad here.
That's what you should do next time.
You say that and we're going to get emails afterwards from people wanting to buy ad spots for this.
Expect vectors for the ILS approach runway 31 right at Abu Dhabi.
3-1 right. Okay, awesome stuff.
Skyflyer 362 Kilo Hotel. Report airport in sight.
In that case, we'll do the next giveaway when we're on the ground. I think that'll be best because we're really close to landing now, about 9 minutes away. Chopped a bit of time off there.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November. Turn right heading 300. Descend and maintain 6,000.
Dan, people have all the picture of your face at that moment going around, doing the rounds.
Brilliant.
God, Robert Teen's going to get his hands on it. It will be a meme before we finish.
Very memeable. I haven't even seen it myself.
It's in the chat if you want a sec.
Where is it? In the Discord chat?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Or maybe save it for afterwards.
Oh no! After post stream, I'll just crop that bit out in the editor.
Yeah, do that. Someone's saying if all else fails, just blame Cameron.
Cleared visual approach runway 31 left.
Well, visual with the airport now.
Until established on the localizer. Cleared ILS runway 31 left. Etihad 329 heavy.
Let's just set this up for approach.
Someone's asking if we have plans for city building. Eventually, yes.
Beam on right, set nav 1.
Where's someone saying I'm not to blame for Botswana's fails? No, I'm not responsible for internet infrastructure in Botswana, sorry.
I would like to quickly just point out and apologise that the live overlays stopped working due to the crash, and I could fix that really quickly. I'd have to pause the stream though for another couple minutes. Do you reckon that's worth a shot?
It's probably fine to leave it like this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Request frequency change. Sky Dubai 46 Romeo.
See, that you can blame me for.
Yeah, what the hell is this? Am I crushing the stream like this? No.
Good day.
Turn right heading 080. Sky Dubai 46 Romeo.
Frequency change approved.
Someone's asking about Windows 11 being able to run Android, so Aviator Alex. Windows 11 now can run, supposed to run Android apps, but only from the Amazon App Store. I think there was news today that Google Store was also going to be available on there. Probably going to wait for Google Play Store to be available instead of having to support now the store. Like the Amazon store.
Let's have a look.
How was the collaboration with JetBlue for delivery on the A220? They were lovely people. They gave us great feedback. It was a joy to work with them.
Skyflyer 360
livery looks great now.
Yeah.
Contact Abu Dhabi Tower on 119.2.
Just realised I was
I
going
don't
220 knots.
I don't think there's anyone who's gonna find any issue with that livery. If they look really closely at it.
Descend and maintain
Uh,
4000.
I wouldn't second guess our community.
United 189 is being
Someone was saying I did the crash because I wanted to go to the bathroom. I actually wanted dinner, that's what it was.
Yeah, I'm kinda hungry too.
I took advantage while doing that to order on Uber Eats, so it's all good. Thank you for the crash, Dan.
You're welcome.
Aviation Z or ZY is asking, how did I create Infinite Flight, or how did I come to create Infinite Flight? There's tons of. There's a few videos or podcasts that I've done about the story of Infinite Flight. I would encourage you to find them. Just look up my name and podcast, and then you'll find the history.
Contacting Abu Dhabi Radar West Secondary on 124.6.
Someone was saying it was a pleasant crash.
I just saw that.
Well reviewed.
5-star.
Great.
Turn left heading 230. Descend and maintain 3000.
Z-Man is asking, can we reinforce flying with Logitech side stick? I'm not sure what you mean by this question.
Can we use a joystick? I would say.
Oh.
Reduce speed to 210
On Android you
Reduce
can.
speed to 210
iOS you need
knots.
to,
Uzbek
well you
826.
can't actually, it's not possible now.
562 heavy is 6 nautical miles northeast of
Ethan's
Al
asking
Dakar,
about his new
4,800
Android tab
feet.
for playing Infinite Flight on isn't showing Infinite Flight. It's probably because it's not supported. If you reach out to hello@infiniteflight.com, our lovely support guru Seb can check for you and let you know exactly what the situation is.
562 heavy.
That's the same for any support issue you have.
Do not exceed
Emailing Seb is a great way to get a good solution, or post on our forum as well. That's a good way to get an even quicker solution from our community.
Okay, right. I'm going to focus now on the landing here. I'm going to go sterile cockpit. So if you guys would like to just put out some questions or whatnot whilst I do this final approach bit here, that'd be great.
Aviation 777 says that, sorry guys, I haven't played Infinite Flight ever since I got into another simulator, but IF looks absolutely stunning now, and I'll be renewing my subscription very soon. Well, thank you very much, and welcome back, Aviation 777.
Thank you. Look forward to see what you think.
Saudia 562 heavy. Turn right heading 1 Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November. Turn right heading 270.
The device Dan uses, so there's a question about it. I'm not sure, it's an iPad something, but I know.
2018 iPad Pro. You mentioned this to me at the start.
Okay,
Yep.
and he's running iOS 14.8.1. Yeah, that's right. We found out in the crash report.
Nice.
It's probably why it crashed, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, you're supposed to be sterile cockpit, you're not supposed to be listening.
Sorry.
So Crazy Bee's asking when the gateways are working, will there be pushback trucks that are connecting to the gear when pushing? Probably not at the same time, but eventually, yes.
Can't wait for that.
Saudia
Yeah, it's gonna be
562
fun.
heavy. Turn left heading
I have a question for the
040.
community, actually.
Descend and maintain 3000.
Wait,
So-
so we're allowed to do this?
12 nautical miles west of KZN at 5,000
I don't know,
feet.
we'll see. I'm gonna try.
Requesting visual approach, runway 31 right, Abu Dhabi.
Let's say for the jetways, okay? Talking about jetways, would you be more interested in controlling the jetway manually, or having just a command that attaches it, you know, automatically? In other words, is it fun for you to control a jet bridge? That's the question. Manually, okay. All right.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November. Contact Abu Dhabi
You guys like
Tower
to
on
control things,
119.2.
planes or jetways. Look at this. Some automatic.
Airfield
Infinite jetways will be next.
Yeah, infinite jetways.
Crossing runway 31 left.
Need to ask Yano to model the little joystick thing that they have and the screen for moving it.
Can we do polls in Nightbot?
Victor Alpha November, number 1.
I don't believe we can, but we can do polls on my end here through the through actual YouTube chat. But I'm unable to create one at the moment.
So it seems like manually is winning here over automatic.
Good day. Aeroflot
And I suppose it's the same for
148
pushback.
Victor
Do you want to control the pushback? Or do you want some other entity to control it? If you specify like an endpoint.
Emirates 2201. Contact Abu Dhabi.
Which is
radar
easier?
vessel secondary on 124.65. Abu Dhabi Tower.
I don't know.
562
Control
heavy is 14
pushback.
nautical miles to the southeast at 3,000 feet. Inbound for landing. Requesting runway 31 left.
There's always yeah, it seems like manually is winning here.
Thank
Also.
you. Good day. Emirates 2201.
I bow down to the IF gods, you do what's right. We're interested in what people think.
There's a lot of trust in us.
Saudia 562 heavy. Contact Abu Dhabi Director North Primary on 118.42.
Yeah, ASOP makes a good point. How can you control it and start the engines at the same time?
That's a good point. But you just be patient and you start when you're you plan your flight more with more time.
You climb up the steps and then push them away and close the door.
Sky Dubai 46 Romeo. Exit runway when able.
If there was a multiplayer option where you could push
Contact
back your
ground on the
friends
taxiway.
in the simulator and just be a pushback worker or something.
United 23 Victor Alpha.
That'd be fun.
Runway 31 left.
Yes,
would be fun.
That would be really fun.
Runway 31 left. United 23 Victor Alpha.
Abu Dhabi Tower. Oscar Echo 1981. Ready for departure at runway 31 left. Departing south. Oscar Echo 1981. Your number
So
2 for departure.
there's no need to ask the question 50 times, but when is the joystick going to work again? Can you specify, Guillermo? Because I believe it's working on Android. Yeah. Infinite pushback.
Oscar Echo
Yeah.
1981. Line up and wait runway 31 left.
So, question for the
Line up
community
and wait
again.
runway 31 left.
I'm in the mood for
Oscar Echo
questions.
1981.
If there ever were a mode for infinite flight to be a pushback worker, would you be interested in doing it?
Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo
As an
India.
additional
Ready for
mode.
departure at runway 31 right. Departing straight out. Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo
I'm very
India.
curious today.
Hold short of runway 31 right.
No. Yes.
Holding short runway 31 right. Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India. Abu Dhabi Tower. Uzbek 826.
It seems to be
Inbound
more
on
yes
ILS
than
runway
no's.
31 right. Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India. Line up and wait runway 31 right.
All right. Well, that makes sense. It seems like
31 right.
a lot of us would be interested in doing anything around the airport,
Uzbek 826. Number
whatever it is.
Runway 31 right. Clear to land. United
Rather fly than
23
be a
Victor
ground
Alpha.
worker. That's
Contact
true.
Abu Dhabi
Same, but
radar
it'd still be
vessel
fun
secondary Alpha Victor
to
Delta Alpha
be around
November.
the,
When
you know,
able,
the
turn
airplanes.
left. Contact ground on the taxiway.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha November.
Razor 03 Yankee.
There we go.
Your number 2 for
Sorry.
departure.
I'm down.
Roger. Razor 0.
I didn't even feel that, Dan. That was great.
Thanks.
Didn't know either.
On final runway 31 left. Full stop.
A little bit of a float, but
562 heavy.
it was
Was
fine.
it Was it a
Runway
kiss
31
landing?
left. Clear to land.
Yes, it was. Hopefully.
Runway 31 left. Saudia
I think it's a little
562
more
heavy.
poetic
Thank
than
you. Good
butter,
day.
honestly.
Saudia 562 heavy.
Yes.
Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo
Yeah, I don't really like the
India.
term butter,
Runway
but it's
31
very
right.
widely used
Clear
though.
for takeoff.
We could
Where
we
does
could
it
take
come
new
from?
friends.
Runway 31 right. Oscar
Just
Echo
go on
Romeo
TikTok,
Oscar
Is
Bravo
it?
Dan,
India.
and change it.
Alpha Victor Delta Alpha
Just say
November.
from now on, you know, it works with the Gen Z people. From now on,
But it,
here's the new thing. It's
isn't
cool.
it like, you know, there's a distribution in Europe, like the people in the north use butter and the people in the south use olive oil. So if you land in Spain, they do olive oil the landing. Food for thought.
¿Cómo se dice olive oil en español?
Aceite de oliva.
What?
Aceite
Aceite de oliva?
de oliva, yeah. Ouais, en
already-
français.
I already forgot. Huile
Yeah,
d'olive.
ouais. Huile d'olive.
Yeah.
Huile d'olive.
Mm.
Très bien.
Etihad 57 heavy. Taxi to runway 31 left.
Yeah,
Contact
Laura and I are
tower
learning different languages in Infinite Flight. She has Infinite Flight set in Spanish. I have it set in French half the time. Sometimes in German.
That's why I know tap the screen to continue is toca la pantalla para continuar. No.
Exactly. I like all the Spanish people coming out here like, what?
No, it's a great way to learn new words, like implicitly.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Going to the park to the right-hand side here and shut the aircraft down, and then we can do the next giveaway.
It is a pretty airplane.
Cathay 47
It's a
heavy.
great aeroplane,
Push
it
back
really
to
is.
I've been watching a lot of Big Jet TV
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
lately.
Jerry.
I always wanted to have an office by the airport, and I just noticed like if I have a stream play, it might work. But then it doesn't work a lot because I watch the planes land.
There we go.
Great job.
Bingo.
Pretty good
We
parking.
arrived at Abu Dhabi with no crash. With a totally smooth flight. It was
the
great.
buildings.
There aren't
November
any.
979 Lima Alpha.
No, Dan,
Contact
a
Abu
true
Dhabi
Infinite
Tower
Flight
on
person will say,
119.2.
coming soon.
Yeah. Yeah, soon. Trademark. There we go. Right, I guess it's my turn to do the final giveaway here. I'm going to give channel members twice the luck on this one. Bit of channel member here. Let me just think of the keyword. Very, very easy keyword.
Taxi to parking at your discretion. Taxiing to parking. Saudia 562
Okay, the
heavy.
keyword is plane. As in plane, not plane, like a plain sheet of paper. Plane, as an aeroplane. Plane. Type plane into the chat to be entered into this giveaway where you're with a 1 month of Infinite Flight Pro entirely free. Super, super easy.
Airbus 00
Type plane into the
Super.
chat again to be
Taxi
entered into this
runway
giveaway.
31 right. Contact tower when
Someone
ready.
Plane in French again.
What?
Plane in French.
Avion.
Ah,
Avion.
same Spanish. Avion.
I have a question about flight director in the sim. Comes back a lot. I have
Abu Dhabi
done
ground.
some experiments,
A26. Request
but it's
taxi
not
to
ready
parking.
to. It's
November
kind of
632
rolling to that
Golf
whole
Tango.
LNAV
Taxi to
kind
runway
of thing.
31 left. Contact tower when ready.
This one falls into not as easy as it seems. There's a whole bunch of constraints that come with programming a flight director when the flat plan is linked to it.
Taxi to parking.
So I
At
haven't
your
been able to
discretion.
find
Taxiing to parking.
something that
Uzbek
was working.
826. Abu
Sorry.
Dhabi ground. Etihad 221.
We even had
Ready for
company
pushback with
developer
information
math sessions
Romeo.
as well when we did that
Etihad
once.
221.
Yeah.
Hold
Try and
position.
figure it out.
Holding
There's
position.
lots of math
Etihad
involved in
221.
computing a proper path around a bunch of waypoints with a specific turn radius, rate of turn, and airspeed. Oh, yeah.
Okay, right. I'm going to go ahead and roll this giveaway then. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and Crazy Bee, a channel member, Crazy Bee has won the giveaway. Congratulations. Awesome stuff.
Congratulations.
Nice.
This has got to be probably the second one he's won, because I remember giving him a sub before.
I really.
Yeah.
Channel member luck. There we go.
And he's also responsible for doing extremely long flights and finding bugs after 2-week flights and whatnot. Congratulations.
Awesome stuff. I'm going to very, very quickly, Cam, Laura, put a 10-second transition on the screen here so we can go into the replay mode and watch the landing.
Sounds good.
First of all, we're going to end the flight. There we go. Right, transitioning now. I just realized an airport showed in that loading screen there. I don't know if you just saw, you clipped the end of that there.
Was it an airport that's coming in the next update, or?
It was an airport that's coming in the next update. Let's not watch
That's
that
fine.
take off here from the local airport, because I did floor it.
I usually get in trouble for this.
Hope the boss isn't watching.
Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India. Ready for departure at runway 31 right. Departing straight out.
Let's see this thing then.
Oscar Bravo India. Hold short of runway 31 right.
Holding short runway 31 right. Oscar
Here we go.
Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India. Abu Dhabi Tower.
Yeah, it's quite the float, but
Very stable.
Runway 31 right.
Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar
nice. It
Bravo
wasn't too
India.
bad.
Line up and wait runway 31 right.
That's good.
We'll have to wait for the stream to show it.
United 23 Victor
Floating a
Alpha.
bit.
Contact Abu
Floating
Dhabi
a bit.
Radar West second
Floating a bit more. There we go. That's good.
Great job.
Number 1. Cleared to land. Runway 31 right. Uzbek 826.
Oscar Echo 1981. Runway 31 left.
What a sexy
Cleared for
aircraft.
takeoff.
It's a
It was
very,
Oscar
big.
Echo
very,
Romeo
very
Oscar
nice
Bravo
aircraft.
India.
It
Hold
is.
short of runway 31 right.
Holding short runway 31
Let's see.
right. Oscar Echo
Let's do
Romeo
one more
Oscar
thing before we
Bravo
wrap up the
India.
stream, and that's to give a
Abu
shout
Dhabi
out to
Tower. Uzbek 826.
our channel members here.
Inbound on the
So pull them up
ILS
very
runway
quickly.
31 right.
Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India. Line up and wait runway 31 right.
Line up and wait runway 31 right. Oscar Echo Romeo Oscar Bravo India.
Uzbek 826, number 1, runway 31 right. Cleared to
Okay, so our
land.
captains and
United
superfans.
23 Victor Alpha.
Shout out to
Contact Abu
Josh
Dhabi
K,
Radar
Owen,
West second
Captain
on
Sky
1
Marshal,
2.5.
G-Habs, Grab,
Number 1.
Walker,
Cleared
Sam
to land.
Voigt,
Runway
Syncline,
31 right.
Santiago, Hector, Winglit Productions. I'm really muddling this up now because there's some pronunciations that I can't quite get. Simon Weber, Gonzo, Crazy Minecart 112, Crazy B. Congratulations on the giveaway again, by the way, Crazy B. Jabir, Butter Zero, and Drove. Well done. Congratulations on being channel members. Awesome stuff.
Thanks for supporting the AOPA Foundation too.
I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, that's where the funds go to. 100% of the revenue generated by channel memberships goes to the AOPA Foundation's You Can Fly program, which is awesome. So thank you all very much to all of our channel members, not just the Captain and super fans, to everybody who's a channel member here. It really does mean a lot to them. So that's great. But yeah, with that being said, Laura, Cam, would you like to say your goodbyes and your outro, and then I'll go ahead and do mine?
Thank you. Good day.
Sure. Thanks for watching today. It was a fun flight, Dan. Except for the random disappearance in the middle, which is inexplicable and we never know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the commercial break. But no, it was good fun. I can't wait for everyone to try the A220. It's a really nice plane. Obviously, we don't know when it's coming. We've not mentioned that at all. But yeah, look forward for everyone to try it out.
Yeah, it was great hanging out with all of you and Cam and Dan. I can't wait for everyone to start enjoying the 220. It's been a great plane to work on, and I think we're gonna see a lot of enjoyment from the first flights in that bird.
Awesome stuff. Well, Laura and Cam, thank you very much for coming onto this stream. It's been great to have you on here to answer very many questions as well, which has been great. And I'm sure the community really appreciate that. And thank you for keeping me company. Otherwise, I would have been sitting there talking to myself. So it's always great to have somebody to talk to. But on my end, thank you very much for tuning in to yet again another Infinite Flight stream. It's been my pleasure to entertain you this Friday evening. It's Friday. I just realized it's Friday. I'm losing track of the days now.
Same.
Yeah. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. As always, keep the dirty side down, and we will see you in our next live stream. Goodbye.
Yes.